Welcome to episode 3 of Around the Campfire. This is covering one of our best stories yet, our best adventure yet to date, and it was 3 years ago of rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. We filmed it sitting on the rim of the Grand Canyon, so it's a really cool setting. We did it the night before we were hiking back down. We talked about almost dying down there, the whole plan of how we got to that point, and it becoming kind of our North Star goal for many years. It's a great story. So thanks for checking it out. I hope you enjoy. Well, here we are, man, at the rim to talk about rim to rim to rim. It's going to be a good one for episode 003 as we're camping tonight. We just pulled in and getting ready to head down in the morning, so we'll be waking up at a bright and early 2:30 tomorrow morning and heading down the Grand View Trail. So good one, but rim to rim to rim, the meatiest thing we've ever done to this day still.
Absolutely.
Damn near took us out. We survived it, and it took a little bit of time to recover from it, where we were like, yeah, we love doing this and we want to do more shit like this. But that was the first big major thing we ever decided to take a stab at.
And we get to finally tell that story. And what better place than our first episode is we're outside. This is the first time, normally we are outside, but this is the first time in nature. I mean, the rim of the Grand Canyon, folks, is like a mile, maybe a mile that way. So we're not camping directly on the rim because that's national park, but there's national forest just north or just south of there. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, so here we are, get to tell this story. And it began as your personal achievement, and then became my brotherly goal to kind of join in. But I want to talk about where you were kind of at in life at that time, and what made rim to rim to rim become like the goal you were setting yourself after.
Oh yeah, this is a long part of the story. This is kind of like my life story in a sense, of like how I took the step from where I was in life to the chapter I'm in now. This was like the defining point and the defining moment of it.
This was the conversion. Really.
This was what started it all. And I guess how it kind of started. Well, we did it in September of 2023, and it was really like early 2021 that it kind of came to. I first heard it. I first came to be. But what all started was during COVID, and I was a slug. I wasn't doing anything. I was a slug all through college for the years before that. Just didn't run, didn't hike much. I hiked a little, but like not much. Didn't work out. I was just a slug. And COVID took a heavy toll on me. And just one day, I was feeling like a slug. I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, that's just not who. Like when I look in the mirror, I don't see who I feel I am. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going out for a run right now. And it was like a random weekday night at like 8 o'clock. And I was, I grew up running and being active and all that shit. And so I was like, oh, this is going to be fine. Just, go out for a run. I made it a quarter mile, and I was like about to pass out. And it was just kind of like a punch in the face of like, you suck. Like, it's time to get your life together. And that was like when everything flipped. And I didn't have any experience in the gym really from like any professional training standpoint. I had nothing beyond a year of cross country in college, middle school track, and playing baseball all my life. So it was really figuring out my own way over the years. And that's how I made it to this point, is just figuring out my way through the years.
That's kind of a little side point, but that's what Kaibab Outdoors is. It's that way of, I want to learn from just what other people actually went through and what their stories were and what it was like to go in their shoes. And then if I take one little aspect of that is a little bit useful for going into my journey, consider that a success.
There are so many flies in my whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah, that's ruined.
Oh, wonderful.
Anywho, yeah, that was that's kind of been like that. It was the inspiration for Kaibab Outdoors, where I just wanted to figure shit out on my own, and I think I've done a pretty good job of it so far. I have a routine down that works for me. It's gotten me to a lot of cool places, and I mean, there's no one size fits all. Everybody has a different training approach, and there's many different ways to get from point A to point B, but what I've done has worked so far for me with what my goals have been. Yeah, so it started probably early 2021, around that time. well, I had just lost my job in December of 2020, and it was probably January 2021 that I took that kickstart.
Yeah.
And I had originally, what kind of sparked my interest was I'd watched the Barkley Marathons documentary, and I was like, these people are fucking insane. And it was just such a fun event. Now I still have no interest in doing any ultras. Like my love for this is like being out on my own and figuring things out on our own, and that part. So like I don't really ever see myself doing like sanctioned events, but that was what sparked it. And then that led me to watching a YouTube documentary about rim to rim to rim, and I was like, ooh, I've been down the Grand Canyon, I love it, like what a cool goal, that's gonna be my personal ultra. But at the same time, I was kind of hating myself for like, you know, the way I looked. And I was just, you know, I was kind of like skinny fat and didn't have any muscle composition whatsoever. And so I was like, well, my goal is I'm going to gain, I had lost a bunch of weight because I just started running. And I was like, I'm going to gain 40 pounds. I'm going to get jacked. That was kind of my mentality. At this point, I don't give a shit about that at all. But at that time, I was like, I'm going to gain 40 pounds. I'm going to get jacked. And then I'm going to run the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, that's a terrible idea. Adding 40 pounds is only going to make it harder. It's already a really hard thing, whatever. And I was determined to do it anyways. So I started a bulk. I gained 40 something pounds in a little over a year, lifting and just eating 5,000+ calories a day.
It was disgusting.
Got pretty jacked, got up to like 185 or whatever, and then I just really ramped up my running again. And we were locked in on this rim to rim to rim goal. And by around that point in time was when you had always like expressed some interest, as I was like really obsessed with this idea. You were always kind of like hearing me out and interested in it. But it was about that time when I flipped from like, I gained all my weight, now it's time to start training and getting in cardio shape to be able to do this. And that's when I realized like, oh, Spencer's locked in on this. He wants to do it too.
Yeah. Well, shortly before that, I'd come to visit you out here in Arizona before I moved out here in August of 2021. And I've been out here since then. But before that time, I had come to visit you, actually, I think it was February, on my midwinter break. And that's when we did Mount Wrightson. So that was like a 4,000 foot climb, like kind of an introductory into a lot of different elements. One, driving a long ways to go do a hike, and that I had never done anything like that. I mean, never once in my life had I actually like set out on a road trip for the sole purpose of just going to do a big hike, rather than something that's just local in the Phoenix Valley, convenience things, Camelback, Piestewa, just because you have to. But overall, being able to then go do something like Wrightson, see how fun it was to kind of suffer and hurt a little bit. And then it was shortly after that, or it might have been while we were doing that, you had mentioned rim to rim to rim. And I was like, if he's going to go for rim to rim to rim, I had a lot of fun on the last one we did, and I'm moving out here. Let's make that happen. Like, I think I can do that. And I was coming out, I was kind of on the opposite boat. I was coming out of high school, so I was fresh legs. I was playing soccer, and I was like running at the time. And then I kind of moved out here knowing I wanted to keep hiking and joining you on things like this, so I just maintained running until we went to the canyon.
Yeah, you were in better cardio shape than I was when I started training for that.
Oh yeah.
So when we went into it, we were pretty equal, like capability wise at that point, and we still are. But yeah, we just locked in, and you were in college at the time. I was living on my own apartment, but we were just, we were holding each other accountable, like checking it. We hung out every weekend, so we were like talking about, oh, how many times did you run this week, whatever, lifting routines and all that. So we were dialed in and ready for it, and we decided that we penciled it in for September of 23. I think we went on the weekend of my birthday that year. I was turning 25, and what if risk death on my 25th birthday? Why not?
Hey, it was your birthday weekend, and that was your goal. Was, all right, hey, I've been training for this for 7 months leading up to it. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna have success, and we did in one way or another.
I mean, we went into that having I had really ramped up my running a ton that summer before, where I was doing every Saturday 10, 15, 20 miles. I think my longest run I did through the Phoenix Mountain Reserve was like 23 or 24 miles. No water, no snacks, straight through. And that was fine. So I knew like we could do it, but we had never done more than like low 20s mileage ever in one swing. And we were about to go for rim to rim to rim, which if you're going South Kaibab both ways, I think it comes out to like 44, 46 miles. And then if you go Bright Angel both ways, which we end up having to do because South Kaibab was closed, it ended up being 52 miles, I think. I don't know if that's just Garmin giving us a little extra. I think it's around 50.
Yeah, it's probably just over 50, but we got 52.
We got 52 out of it, so I say 52. Whatever. What my watch says goes.
It sounds better. I mean, yeah. It's always going to be a little inaccurate going into the canyon. And that's what kind of sucks, is like there is no perfect distance, because especially when you're going through the box and you're going through some of just the sheer drop areas, Garmin can't keep track of where you are. Any GPS saying you can't keep track where you are.
You're just
accurately.
yeah,
good luck with that to get a precise location. So you'll have some variance from everybody. So I always like to add a couple miles just because, just assume it's going to be longer than you think it is, regardless of if you know the distance. Like, add it.
Whatever All Trail says, add at least 10 to 15%.
Yeah,
on that.
honestly. If it's anything super long, be willing to add 4 miles, because it'll be that. But our hike began, so yeah, we ended up going for your birthday weekend, which was September 18th. I don't know if that was the exact, was that the day we hiked it?
Day before, day after, so
it was like the 16th and 17th, or the 17th to the 18th, one of them. But we decided, we were just going to drive up here. It came up mid-afternoon, and the goal was, you had put some time parameters on it at the time.
Yeah.
Come to learn, we don't really work on the time parameters all too well. But at the time, I don't know what the goal was, but it was somewhere between, I think, 14 and 16.
I think we expected about 16, and on the optimistic side, we're thinking like 14. We were way off.
Way off. You can kind of get into that.
Yeah, so we got started at the beginning.
I was like, the drive up was pretty casual. We just left. I think it was like it was probably about 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I had been running, not as much as you had. I think I joined on maybe 1, 2, 3 of the long runs, but I was running 4 miles max a day, staying in shape, but had not done anything of that distance. So mentally preparing, I knew what I was about to do was kick stupid. So I was nervous going into it. I was very nervous. We stopped we left at about 2, stopped and got some sandwiches at Sprouts on the way up. And I was so nervous I couldn't eat the Sprouts sandwich. I was like literally just sitting in the passenger seat of the car, staring straight ahead, just like trying to think through what I was about to go do. And there was just no, I mean, I couldn't bail out at that point. I was committed. I was there. I knew what was going to come was going to suck. So you were driving. I took like 1 bite of my sandwich, almost threw it up, then tried to take another bite when we got to the rim. Actually, when we got at the south rim, and almost threw up in the parking lot as we were standing there. So I was not feeling best going into it, but once we got moving, all those fears were
tough to
settled.
watch. Because I was sitting there like,
nerves.
This was such a, like, I was so fixated on this for like 2 years of my life that I was like, I'm here, I'm doing this. This is an over-exaggeration, but I was like, I'm willing to die to do this.
I mean,
not actually, but like, I was so locked in that like nothing was going to stop me.
That's what it took.
Nothing was going to stop me on that. I was ready. And so then I was seeing you in the shape that you were in, and I was just like, it'll be fine.
I don't know why you thought that.
So then we take off, we start heading down. I mean, we started, I think, at 6:30 p.m. It was right around sunset.
Beautiful up on the south.
The
Bright
goal-
Angel Trailhead. Picturesque at about that time. I'm just looking over. There's a bunch of people taking pictures. I am just shaking in my boots.
You were literally shaking.
I think I was like actually shaking. Like, holy fuck.
We wanted to start at like 6:30 because we were expecting about 16 hours, and we wanted to get out of the canyon before the heat of the day had hit the next day. So that was why we started so late at night. And we took off heading down. Walked a little ways to get the legs warmed up, but then we ran almost the entire way down to the bottom to Phantom Ranch. We were cooking, which for most people that have never hiked the Grand Canyon, that's the biggest thing that overwhelms people is how tired your legs are when you get to the bottom. Running downhill 5,000 feet is exhausting in itself, but even Phantom Ranch or even Bright Angel and South Kaibab are choppy enough trails that like it's not flat at all. You're taking big steps. You're jumping off rocks the whole time.
Jumping off rocks. It's also like, if the trail is going down, every little bit there's a jagged upright rock. So it's like you have to be a high kneeing or high stepping over every couple of seconds.
It's not like you're landing flat-footed at any point.
Not at all. So it's a complicated, mental heavy run.
So we're running down. Like, legs are just absolutely cooked by the time we get to the top. We did see a bunch of wildlife though when we were coming down the South Kaibab Trail. We saw deer on the trail on Bright Angel. I mean, saw a couple snakes.
Saw 2 snakes. Saw
a ton of scorpions.
Scorpions, lizards. Actually, that might have been it.
I think that was about it. The deer was cool though. I've never seen a deer in the corridor, so that was really cool.
And that's when it was approaching sunset. We actually just seen the snake before that, and it was like sitting in the middle of the trail, full stretched out, and then slowly slithered off up kind of into the canyon wall. And that was just as the sun was setting, and we were both just like, oh gosh, here we go. Like, please, I don't want to be seeing snakes all night. And if I'm gonna see snakes, that's gonna be it's gonna be a hard thing to deal with if there's a bunch of them. And that was the last one we saw.
Yeah, that was it.
At that segment.
I don't think we saw really any more wildlife after that. The entire North Kaibab Trail.
Even, I think, most of the rest of the hike. We saw a few lizards and scorpions, but nothing else major. But as we passed that snake, we ended up rounding a bend, and there was a mule deer or some sort of deer just walking along the trail. And there was nowhere for it to go, kind of off or left, or right or left. I guess right was up the wall, left was down the canyon. So it just kind of looked at us, we paused, gave it its space, and it just slowly kind of trotted up the trail for a tenth of a mile, maybe, before it had to pull off and actually had a spot I could get away from us.
That was it.
It was a really cool little spot. Hiking kind of deer.
Seeing big wildlife in the canyon is so, like when it's actual like mammals.
Yeah,
that's cool.
They use the same trails we do, so it's all right there, which is sweet. But yeah, that was kind of sun was setting on our run down. We were, both our legs were feeling cooked. I got to the bottom and tried to drink a sugary drink and just threw up.
Right at we had just crossed the bridge and we were at the water fill up at Phantom Ranch right there along the Colorado, right before you get into like the Phantom Ranch campground, whatever it is. And I knew you were struggling, but I wasn't even like, are you good? Are you good? And I was like, you better be good.
Yeah.
I remember you just chugged a bunch of water and then you just turned and threw it all up.
Yeah.
And I was like, you good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, that one, I think it was sugary, because I remember having those little pouches, and I added Neo to one of them, because I was like, I should get some electrolytes, get some sugar, and I took like one sip where I chugged a swig of it, and it just yacked it up right away. And that was, it was quick, it was watery, it wasn't too bad.
It was pretty concerning though.
I mean, in the moment, for sure.
We're, 10 to 11 miles into a potentially 50-mile day.
Yeah. Well, I also was like, not concerned to bail out. I was like, I'll turn around, you just keep going. You're like, I'm not going to leave.
Yeah, so there was probably, I don't know, 3 miles, because I think from Phantom Ranch to Cottonwood is about 7 to 8 miles. It was probably 3 miles into that trek. We'd stop for just a quick little breather and a snack or something. You had said to me, like, hey, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Like, go on without me. And I was like, I'm not fucking going on without you. Like, that's stupid. It's the middle of the night. That's not happening. And I remember when you first said it, that I just, like, sat there for a good probably, I don't know. It probably seemed longer than it really was, but I remember I just sat there because I was thinking about how I wanted to approach this. Because I was like, this has been my mission, and I want to do it no matter what, but, like, I'm not willing to do it alone. So I was, like, running through my head of, like, how do we continue on with this further? And I just said to you, like, Cottonwood is 5 miles up the trail. Like, it's only a couple hundred feet of gain to get to that point.
At that point.
I was like, if we get to Cottonwood and turn around, I think it was 35 miles round trip. So I was like, are you down to get to that, which was 10 miles further than we'd ever been before. I was like, are you down just to get to Cottonwood? Then we'll figure it out from there. And you were like, yeah, I can get to Cottonwood.
Yep. And I remember that moment specifically. And we were just kind of sitting there, and the entire time, obviously, the looming threat is the hike back out. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew what I was feeling in the moment. I was tired. I just threw up 4 miles ago. Probably wasn't super well, at that point probably was not hydrated nor fueled very well. And I was just in the mindset of like, okay, I have to be able to get myself out of here, so turning around early is probably the smart option. And you were like, let's just get to Cottonwood. It was the box, so we were just kind of winding through the dark. Couldn't make all too much sense of our progress. It's kind of hard to notice, and we had a destination we were set to limited elevation gain, and I figured that was easy enough. That would only add 10 miles total, 5 miles one way. Relatively easy and smooth, and then we'd have a climb out. And well, we got to Cottonwood, and I felt quite a bit better.
We literally just didn't stop. We just kept
We
going.
stopped.
Did we?
Yeah, there's water at Cottonwood. And we're turning like
Oh, yeah,
just
yeah.
a little bit left. There's a fountain.
Yeah, you're right.
If you're heading up the North Kaibab Trail, heading northward. Yeah, just left off the trail. We stopped there for a second because I was like, hey, I'm going to fill up on water. I don't know if I had mentioned at that point I was feeling good. But I just remember stopping and being like, yeah, if there was any doubts if we were turning around. Well, because at that point, it's only 8 or 9 miles top. We'd already got most of the way. So this is just the idea of, all right, well, it's closer than it seems. I got a new rush. Let's go for it. And that kind of began, that at least was the start of my change in mentality in hikes, where I now can just tell myself to go a little bit further because I know mental waves come and go.
Mm-hmm.
So like if I am really suffering, if I just go a little bit longer, as long as it's not like gear issues or repairs or like water leaking down my back, things like that. Just like if it's actually just mental pain, just go for a little bit longer and you'll either hit a flow state or you'll reach a point where you start to feel a little bit good. Your body will shift weight. It's a good feeling. And yeah, from Cottonwood we then began our climb.
We just huffed it out. We really did. I don't think we went he had any breaks from Cottonwood up to the north rim. We just moved. So we made real steady progress. Made it up to the north. Like we said, I think goal time was about 16 hours. So I think we made it from rim to rim in 8.5 hours or so. We were making really good progress. A little behind, but making good progress.
I remember knowing we were a little behind. Really fucking, yeah.
And we didn't bring enough. So we planned to, kind of schmoovin'. So we really didn't bring many layers. And then we decided if we got to the north rim.
I don't know if I had any layers.
I didn't have any layers.
I think I was in a t-shirt and shorts. And a hat. This hat.
I might have had a windbreaker.
Shout out to my Tractor Supply hat. This is technically a remake, a refashioning, but the other one was a bust. We'll get to that
Tragic.
story. But
we made it to North Rim. We were freezing, and that was obviously the furthest. At that point, even just getting to the North Rim was the furthest we'd ever gone. So we're like, oh, let's treat ourselves to a little break. But it was freezing cold, and it was super windy up there. I think it was right around freezing temperatures, and it was really windy. So we're like, I don't just want to stand here and hindsight 2020. We should have just kept moving and braked.
turn around and go down.
Lower. We fucked that up. But decided, hey, there's a trailhead bathroom right here, and obviously nobody's up and moving in the North Rim at whatever it was.
It was
3 in the
3
morning,
a.m.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, let's take shelter in the bathroom real quick just to get out of the wind. Have a little snack in the bathroom.
In the vault toilet.
Vault toilet. And then we'll carry on. We froze our asses off.
It was horrendous.
It was horrible.
It was
literally
a
just
terrible
sitting there
experience.
shivering.
It was so cold. It probably was sub 30. Oh, everything was cold. The walls were cold. The floor was cold. The toilet was cold. Everything. It was not a good experience.
No,
that was a horrible, horrible decision.
That was the closest to hell I've ever been. That sucked.
Yeah, hell
The only
yeah.
thing that gave me any hope was that one cosmic brownie I had packed in my bag that I ate there. It was awesome.
Just a little bit.
That was 3 years ago, and I still think about it.
It's that's probably the only thing that'll ever make you eat a cosmic brownie again.
Yeah.
It'll be that memory in your head. If you're gonna
Anytime I eat another cosmic brownie, it's gonna be just disappointment because nothing will top that one.
No. Being freezing cold and your only saving grace.
We're in the bathroom, wrapped in a bivvy, shivering.
Yeah, I forget what I think I had my emergency blanket. And I was just knees to my chest.
You were damn near fetal position in there.
Yeah. Up against the wall and trying to touch the ground as little as I could. Yeah, that was a fun time. But yeah, oh my gosh, we had a good ascent up, and then we stopped, and the stopping was kind of the turning point of that story.
Because as soon as we started heading back down, after being locked up for 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it was that we rested for, my whole body was just like tense, super tight.
And I was sitting like this. You were sitting like super tense, heightened up. Ankles weren't moving for 10 minutes. We also had just hiked a full marathon almost. The furthest either of us had ever done, with 7,000 feet of elevation gain, 6,800 feet of elevation gain thrown in there. So we just did so much, and literally stopped, sat in a fetal position, no stretching, no nothing. Sat, froze in like 28 degrees, and then immediately decided, let's go hike again.
Yeah, let's just go.
We got
do this back.
Well, yeah, we had to. We didn't have a choice.
So somewhere along the way, it was like right as we started going down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I knew at the time. Like, I remember like a moment where it happened, but like I did something to my foot, rolled my ankle or something, but basically the side of my foot was just trashed, and it took a little bit of time. You know, I roll my ankles all the time and just kind of carry on, but this one, just over time, it just kept getting worse and worse. I remember like a mile heading down, I looked at you and was like, I don't think I can run one more step of this. Like, it's gonna be a dog fight getting out of here. Like, it's getting worse and worse, and shoot, by the time we had gotten down to Cottonwood, like I had no movement anymore in my foot. My leg was just completely locked. I was basically like limping on poles all the way. And from there we had 17 or 18 miles to get out of the canyon. We're now 2 to 3 hours behind the schedule we thought, so it's, you know, sun's already coming up.
Yeah, I don't think we had reached Cottonwood by the time daybreak was happening.
No, it was right about that, is it Santa Maria Springs? Is that what the name of it is?
No, that's on the Hermit Trail.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, yeah, whatever.
Between Cottonwood and the North Rim, there's one building with a little spring there. That's what I'm thinking of. It was about that point when daybreak hit. 6 o'clock or 6:30, whatever it was. And I was just limping out from there. So I literally was just on my poles, like I
ankle couldn't move.
1 foot, and we just limped all the way out of there. And so obviously we kept falling back. Pace was getting slower and slower. Days coming up, and it's getting hotter and hotter. And working our way down past Cottonwood into the box was purgatory. It was never ending. I wish now I'd like counted how many fucking turns you have when you're in there before you get to Phantom Ranch, but it just seemed that like the whole time we're like, the next bend is it, and the next bend isn't. Oh, the next bend's got to be it. The next bend isn't it. Next bend's got to be it. Still not it. And it just seemed longer.
Went on for
longer,
what felt like an hour.
It was horrible.
Boom, no, boom, no.
And I just needed to get there so I could refill water, take a little break, and then obviously from there we still have 600 feet or whatever to get up Bright Angel to get out. Mm-hmm. So it was awful.
And it was kind of in the box that the emotional journey began, I think, for probably both of us. That was probably when you started started hitting in the low, and I didn't mean it in any rude way, obviously, and it became I don't know, just like the quote of the hike, and it was just like, well, what would you like me to do? Yeah. It was like we would take a break, you'd vent a little bit, say, oh man, one of our main goals is not to complain, and it's not that you can, I guess you're allowed to complain, but it's more so try and be informative about what you're saying. So I guess
if something hurts, it's important to tell somebody that that something hurts.
If somebody else is with you and has to rely on you to be able to get out of there, or have to worry about getting you out of there, then any issues that arise, you should at least make them aware of. But sitting there repeating over and over again that you are in pain.
Oh, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot for both of us.
Guess what? The other person feels that too. Guess what? We're 33 miles into this. The other person's legs hurt too. My knees hurt too. My ankles hurt too. My ankle didn't hurt that bad, so I was pretty sympathetic about that. But it was the idea of like, hey, we knew what we were getting into, and we're at the bottom, so we have 2 options. Keep on
not taking a helicopter ride out.
No, I'm not taking the helicopter out. So we began this back and forth pendulum swing of who was kind of feeling good and who was feeling bad. And that was the box was kind of year low. I was struggling. I was getting hot. But I don't think I was kind of just leading the pack. Couldn't stay consistent, moving well. We weren't running at all. And then we hit Cottonwood, or we hit Phantom Ranch. And all I remember from that is, I think that's where you were feeling good. Or
I was
you were
dying
dead. You were
at
dead.
Phantom
I was
Ranch.
talking to people at Phantom.
Everybody that
So-
like camped was just waking up and starting their day out.
They were planning their
They're all,
days
you
out.
know, giddy because they're at the Grand Canyon and
Yep.
get to start their day hiking, and I'm like laying on the side, like, you guys have no idea what I'm going through right now.
And that's where, I was like filling up water, and I was telling people what we went through. Obviously, we crossed the canyon last night, we just came back down this morning, and then we got our hike out, and it was just like, that is insane. What is happening? We actually met some sweet people. I guess a little sidetrack. We met some sweet people also going rim to rim from north to south while we were coming back across the canyon on our river, and they were really cool. But so we were just kind of leapfrogging them, and I think some of them came into Phantom Ranch while I was there. I was like, man, we've been talking to these people since 4 a.m. And I was feeling good at that time. And that didn't last long.
Well, from there, you're starting up Bright Angel, and we had just come out of the box, which was all shade at that point.
Yeah.
We're just starting up Bright Angel, where from there on out, we'd have no shade until we got out. And it was hell. We were just limping along. At the point where, like, I was hurting so bad that we were, at times, going a quarter mile and then taking a break, and then a quarter mile and taking a break. No shade, so we're just absolutely cooking.
Yep. We're moving slow, so just soaking in the UV, head down, just pouring sweat. And it was a quarter mile at a time, so we literally just looked down, counted off. I think we were saying every 10th of a mile. And we were just, all right, one more 10th, all right, half of the 10th, and take a break. And we did that all the way up to Indian Garden.
Indian Garden was another rough stretch.
I got a sidetrack. I got to go back and down the Bright Angel Trail a little bit. Sand at the bottom.
Oh my god. There's like, what, at least a half a mile or so where you're walking in like straight sand.
Yeah,
and I have no movement in my ankle at that point, so I'm literally just hobbling on like one foot.
Every time you press, if you have to step on that, it is.
Oh, it was so painful.
Yeah, that's not.
It was so painful. Never even took off my shoe because I didn't want to look at how bad it was. I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. I got to get out of here somehow. I'm not dying.
No,
Felt like it, but I wasn't.
no, you weren't gonna die. And it wasn't gonna die. You weren't gonna die.
Then we compartmentalize each kind of pit stop along the way. So we have Indian Garden next. And we're like, oh, it's however many miles away. And it was so much further than we had thought it was. It was just hell.
Yeah, I don't remember where we actually said that moment, but we were like, all right, we have 1 mile to Indian Garden. And I think in my head, it felt like it was like 3, but it was probably like 1.75 miles to Indian Garden. And that was an absolute stretch.
That was rough.
Narrow trail, just moving slow. There was no shade. We'd stop by little bushes for a sec, keep on moving, and it was just, oh man, that was a brutal hike.
And getting to Indian Garden was one of my next lowest points. Where you were still doing good at that point.
I was hurting, but I optimistic. I mean, I was just trying to keep my head up. I wasn't in too much
I
pain.
just remember there were so many people that were at Indian Garden at the time that we were at it. And everybody wants to fill up their water there, and there's like 2 or 3 benches. And I just remember I laid down, I took up a whole bench, I just laid on the bench. Everybody's chipper as hell around. And I was like, I just had like my bag over my face, and I was like crying, but there were no tears because like, I was just empty.
Yeah, too much
It was just
energy.
one of those, like, mentally I was sobbing. So like, crying does nothing at that point. So I was just laying there like, die out here. Not actually, I knew I was going to die. Oh, that was a really low point. And a couple people are like, are you okay? And I'm fine. It doesn't matter what you know, there's nothing you can do for me right now. I have food, I have water, I have electrolytes, I have everything I need.
I'm not taking the helicopter.
I'm just hurting.
So
nobody that can help me.
Tell you I'm not fine, but that's just one more person who has to worry about me. And I was struggling and already worried enough. So
We carried on from there, and we kind of had a flip switch between the two of us. But I think I started to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel.
You were like, oh my gosh, we might be like...
I've done 47 miles.
Yeah.
I've only got a couple more.
Like, I think I can do like 5 more miles and get myself out of this. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, it's like the hardest 5 miles. Like, this is 3,800 feet, 5 miles kind of thing. And I just went down the drain so fast. it was so brutal. We made it quite far. I think we were doing the same methodology though.
Yeah.
Of about a quarter mile, half mile at a time, probably. No more than that. Taking breaks when we found shade, if we found shade. And it wasn't until the next stop,
3
Mile Rest House. That was, I think, my lowest point. I remember it was sit because you come up to 3 Mile Rest House, and there's a line of benches along the like wall on the side, and I also just took up a bench, laid, and just was the most broken I'd ever been. It was full emotional spectrum of like anger with myself of not being prepared enough, sad because of how much pain I was in, emotionally completely exhausted, like utterly broken at that point. And I didn't talk to anybody, but I would just, man, that was the lowest, probably the lowest I've ever felt in my entire life. Like, entire life. Well, some really sad things, but it was pretty darn close. It's top 3 easily of like mentally. I don't know if there's a way forward. And well, shit, I didn't have a choice.
Leave me here.
It was what I was thinking at times was just like, if I could lay under the faucet, I would. And if Josh could leave me here, I'd tell him that's okay. But obviously that wasn't a choice. So you walked over and you said, are we gonna move? And I just sat up.
At that point, I was just numb.
Yeah. Just like a zombie, I arose and man, we began the final 3 miles.
I was just numb, but I could like just feel finally my dream of doing this is like it's coming, and what I wanted to gain out of this was that experience of suffering. Like I wanted to do the hardest thing I've ever done before.
Now
I got that.
You were right. There was a light. I knew it was close. I didn't think I could get there. And you saw the light and were like, I can get to the light. I saw the light and was like, God, it's so far away. And yeah, from there, the final 3 miles from the 3 Mile Rest House was hard. It's a lot of big steps up. There's a lot of the logs kind of like staked into the rock, which by the national park, we love the trail. Red Angel's beautiful. But yeah, a lot of big hard steps, so that was atrocious, and my hips didn't work, my ankles didn't work. I was like turning sideways to like raise my leg forward to do steps up, and yeah, it was, if I could alleviate one muscle for a second, I was, then the next muscle would become too tight and I'd have to change back, and yeah, it was a slog until there's a little top of Bright Angel, there's like 2 big switchbacks, and there's a tunnel. And around that point, I think he started yelling, and
on a really busy trail, by the way, I'm like, woohoo!
Oh yeah, it's like there's 100 people within there, and they can all hear us, and I was just like, holy shit, it's there! Like, we made it, we survived that thing. And
finally made it out. We were both crying
We did
in
both
front
cry.
of all these tourists that are taking their family pictures and whatnot, and we get out and we're crying. That was an exciting moment, and it was everything that I was hoping to get out of it more.
Mm-hmm.
Taught me more about myself than I ever could have imagined.
It was so fun. I loved that there was a gal that did Rim to Rim, as we did Rim to Rim, and when she finished, she had some friends there to celebrate. And she immediately told them what we did was like, celebrate for them too.
So yeah,
and
we got
we had like there's a whole crowd of people,
like 8 or 10 people that were cheering for us.
And
that was really cool.
oh man, and that's when I started crying. I was like, holy shit, we actually just did this.
Yep.
Crazy, absolutely insane. But mission success.
It was a success. I couldn't walk for a week.
Oh yeah, we got to get at least a few of the backstories of afterwards. Like, My shower afterwards, I just sat there for like 35 minutes, just in the one place my whole body could get rinsed. And I just sat on the ground.
Oh, it was rough. You get the worst sleep of your life after something like that
awful.
too. It was terrible. And I had to go to work. I think I had like one day off, but I went to work on Tuesday. My foot was so messed up that I couldn't even put it in the shoe, and I didn't go to the doctor for it. I assume it was probably a pretty severe sprain, but I don't think I broke anything. 'Cause I was back running again in probably 2-3 months. But I couldn't move my foot for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And so that Tuesday or whatever, I go back to the office. I couldn't even put a shoe on, so I was walking around the office with one shoe on, because the other foot in a sock. And everybody's like, "What happened to you?" And it's kind of definitely proud to tell those stories about what happened.
And it's hard to just give everything we just gave in a short, little, concise, hey, just in passing, I didn't remember.
Yeah,
That doesn't work.
it took a little bit of time before, after all that suffering and rehab and getting back into the swing of things, before we were both like, that was really fun. Because right when we got out, we were just happy to be alive.
Yeah. Well, I remember the morning after, I was in college, second floor in an apartment at Grand Canyon University, and we had a fire drill at 6:30 a.m. And my eyes snapped open. I mean, I wasn't sleeping good, so I was able to get up, but I couldn't move my body. The lower half of my body couldn't work. We couldn't use the elevators, so we had to take the stairs. And I mean this with all respect, but at the moment I was a disabled person. I literally was able to get out the door, and I immediately needed assistance of hey, if there's anyone who can give me an arm to kind of hold on to and stumble along. And I think I kind of was dragging myself along the wall of the stairs, and I got to the top of the stairs, and I had to ask a couple people. I was like, hey, just waited for 2 dudes that were all in the line, and I was like, fellas, no time to explain, I need help getting down these stairs. And they were like, oh yeah, and immediately helped, and we're super cool. And then I just went and sat out on the curb as the fire department pulled up, and I'm laying on the cement, just oh yeah, it was a rough experience.
And then crazy how far we've come. That now we're I can't wait to be a noodle for the next few days. It's a fun feeling being that. So
I don't know how long you would say it took you before you wanted to do it again.
I mean, it only took me a few days out until I was I loved that shit. But it took me a while before I started training again for something like that. It took me a while to rehab.
It took me 8 months before I said
No, it wasn't that long.
It might have been that long.
No, it was a month or 2. And I just remember you coming over one time and being yeah, it was a good time.
I feel like it was
do more shit like that. No, it was not that long. Longer than me. I mean, we got out of that, and on the drive home, you were telling me yeah, that was a good time. I don't ever want to do anything like that again.
Yeah, I didn't. For at least a month, I thought that, where I was that was cool. I think I'm good. and I just was gone for a little bit. And then all of a sudden it settled what I had accomplished. And I told the story a few times. And I thought about other things we could do in the canyon. And that it was actually fuel for fire. It just spiraled from there. And now look where we are.
Yeah.
For our 7th or 8th trail, rim to river in the canyon. Well, not rim to river. This one's just a different loop. This is the Horseshoe Mesa, but it's an independent trail. Most of the way down. You can always go down the Slot Canyon. But yeah, rim to rim was definitely my biggest learning experience. For sure. Would you like to take a couple minutes to talk about, if you were to do it again, what would you go into it differently? I guess if you were in that same mindset back in the day, so not as experienced, just kind of in that starter set, what do you want to do? How would you approach it differently?
Training wise, I would definitely be mixing in more elevation and strength training into it. That would be the biggest thing. I was running a lot. I'm just a pretty good runner, but running flat ground means nothing when you get into the canyon and how choppy it is. too, just kind of the approach to like how we went about it, like running pretty hard all the way down. We had pretty high heart rate going down. Legs were cooked by the time we got to the bottom. That did not help. So I think kind of pacing better would have been a good strategic move. Obviously, the biggest mistake we made was resting for 15 minutes at North Rim. Like, I wouldn't want to do that while I was freezing. Like, make sure you keep your body temperature at a regulated, and keep the body loose and nimble, so you're not going to potentially injure yourself by just simply rolling an ankle. So those are some of the major things I think about. But I mean, other than that, I mean, if my ankle didn't get shit on, I would have been in a much better condition going through that. Like, I prepped really well for it. I fueled really well for it. Like, everything, the entire process to it was pretty good for being a first timer trying to just go do something like rim to rim to rim for my first major adventure I've ever done.
Your step into the ultra world.
Yeah. So I was proud of how that all came to be.
Sure, I think I was really proud of both of us coming out of that. That was like a super camaraderie of like, damn, both me and my brother just, man, you helped me through a lot of different points along it. Both the bot, like kind of heading out, and then mostly heading out was all of you supporting me, and then coming back was a lot of things going each way. But overall, it was just such a good bonding experience, and it was really cool just for like, this is how you hike. Like, this is the way we like to hike. This is the way that's comfortable and begins to work. And then by the end of it, like, I knew the importance of pace. Don't burn yourself out.
I think the biggest thing out of it all was just like when you're suffering, things you learn about yourself, about your resilience, about how much stronger you are than you ever thought you were, is like the biggest thing I ever took out from it. Because like I went back to work and trying to talk to girls and like everything that you have to deal with in real life, and none of it seemed hard anymore. I was like, I just went through hard, and anything else in this world is easy compared to that. So I think it's important to like have moments of suffering. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to those extremes, but like have really hard moments where you question everything about yourself. You question why you're doing it, and you really put yourself as far out of your comfort zone as you responsibly can. And on top of that too, like what you were saying, camaraderie, like being able to do that with somebody, you learn so much about them. That's why like there's nobody else I've been in the canyon with, is because like you're the person I know I can count on, because I've seen you push through every possible level of suffering that we've ever either of us experienced. We watched each other do it. So it's like I've never seen you get anywhere near like close to that since then, but I know that anything up to that and probably beyond that, I count on you to keep pushing through it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a big psychological motivator, especially going into things like we're going to do tomorrow. You have to, we're not relying on each other for carrying any gear or any evac plans or anything like that. In the event something goes wrong, it's good to be able to rely on another person for like, they can 100% do what is necessary to prepare and get both of us out of here.
Yep.
Even if that is, providing a bivvy and food and making sure they're good, going to get aid, or maintaining aid until the helicopter's able to arrive there, or whatever is, what the situation or whatever is assessed is required. But yeah, it's really nice to be able to rely on that person and have, especially after rim to rim to rim, full faith that they'll be good. We haven't, like you said, we haven't gotten anywhere near that. That was the hardest suffering we had to do our country mile. And having gone through that is just, that's good motor.
And that sparked all of what we're doing now, Kaibab Outdoors, and how much, that literally sparked our love for it. Yeah, we want to do more shoulder. We want to be able to do that and it not hurt in the way that it just hurt. I want to be able to rip a rim out of my ass.
I want to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's way more fun that way when you can just explore. So, like, since then we've been able to do Whitney and, obviously we just did Humphreys a couple weeks ago. Like, we do things like that now with ease. Now, rim to rim, if we were to try to do that tomorrow, it would still kick my ass. Not nearly what it did a couple years ago, but it would still kick my ass. So there's always improvements that can be made. But, like, that was the goal of this. Is like, I want to be able to rip 50 miles and however much elevation gain just off the fly.
Yep.
We're getting there.
We are getting.
But it's a never-ending process. The goalposts always move. So it's like, be happy with where you're at right now, but never be fully satisfied with potential.
Yeah. What's been nice is at least all the hikes we've gone on since then, the way I felt coming out of it, even things that are like our Boucher Hermit's Loop, which was a really long, like, highest distance I've done since then, I believe. Coming out of that, I just felt so much better, one, with the mileage, and two, just knowing like how we've been preparing for it, and feeling coming out of it, like I said it weird, but enjoying it. Like rim to rim, I don't remember. I just remember the suck, and then about a month later, I was like, that was fun. For every other one I have now gone into, I approach it with the knowledge that the suck's gonna be there, and I enjoy the whole thing so much more.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I guess when I was nervous in the parking lot before rim to rim, I was nervous and I knew it was gonna suck. But I didn't know what that meant. Now I know what that means. So I can go into something and be like, I know how I'm gonna hurt. I know what's gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay that I'm gonna hurt. Just enjoy what I can. Do what I can.
Yeah.
And I come out of every adventure now feeling better, and I have enjoyed it so much more. I got to see more scenery. I took more time to enjoy the sights. Things like that.
That's ultimately why we do it. Just more cool places.
Cool places. The rim to rim was kind of my eye opener for that. Because going into that, we had a lot of emphasis on pace. And then I realized in that I want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I don't really
I'm not
care.
racing anybody.
Well, you're out there. There was never a goal in the back of my head of, a time. It's much more of just, I need to get up to there. When I get up there, I need to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. That was everything that psychologically it came down to. And that's what kept me going. So it was just a great adventure.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
It still is. That's our best story of all of our big adventures. It's the craziest thing we've ever done. It might end up being the craziest thing ever. We might do harder adventures in the future. No, we will do harder adventures in the future. But just from what we went through.
It emotionally should not be that difficult.
No, it should not be. Don't do rim to rim if you're not ready.
Yeah, just prepare for it. Don't just wing it. Don't run 4 miles, like 4 times a week and then be like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I can handle this. I'm in cardio shape. You're not. You gotta do a little elevation training, do a little strength training. Slowly build up to it. I guess not, you don't have to slowly, but build up to it. Do Humphreys. Do some different canyons around in the area. Go down a ways. Do a rim to river first. Then do a rim to Cottonwood. And back out. And then maybe you go further. Work up to it. Don't build your whole plan around, I'm going to go do this. Because you might be the one taking the helicopter.
Yep. It happens a lot.
And it happens a lot.
That was a good story, too. We gotta get some dinner going and get our day prepped for 2 a.m. wake up tomorrow morning and back into the canyon, baby.
Bright and early. Good story. It's a good one.
Hey, that was fun. Till next time.
Did anyone stick around for that whole video? Well, if you did, thank you so much. Honestly, your support means the world to me and my brothers here at Kaibab Outdoors. Without you guys, a young channel like us wouldn't be able to do anything. So just to be fair, I love you. And I wouldn't be a very good YouTuber if I didn't do the grimy stuff at the end. So please like, subscribe, comment if you got something to say to us, if you have recommendations for how we can improve or different top conversations to talk about. All that stuff would be appreciated. So have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much and take care.